God? Everybody I ask has a different answer to that question, it seems. And I think for most of my life, I would have had a simple question, or at least a simple answer to that question, because Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And that served me really well for a long time, until I realized that a simple answer to that question doesn't make for a very interesting God. So, I love science. And I learned that this cradle of life I live on, this ball of molten metal and rock we call Earth, is hanging in this incredibly vast cosmos. Unimaginably vast. And so many bad things happen here in the name of God. That the faith of my childhood was founded because some people believed very passionately that slavery in America should be legal. And the faith of my childhood thought that separate water fountains for black and white Americans was a good idea. And the faith of my childhood thought that for two people of a similar biological gender to be in love was evil and sin. And that revealed a God that I found a little frightening. But when I click back the lens on the telescope just one step, I realized even a belief that my faith was misguided or wrong was to take on far too big a sense of self-importance. That in the context of this universe, a God that cares for a tiny speck of dust seems ridiculous. There's a photograph taken of our planet past the orbit of Saturn. It's called the pale blue dot. And Carl Sagan, one of my favorite scientists, would elucidate on it. And his wife once said that you could pick any point in the sky and imagine that next to that star is a blue planet much like ours. And now imagine for a second that every being that lives on that little blue dot believes the entire universe was made for them by a God who loves them. But then what about us? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost became such an absurd idea that I gave up on this God word altogether. It's not that I gave up wonder. I just gave up on the word because it seems so superstitious and so silly. And so many bad things had been done in that name. And my new God became science, and it was good. Because I found a fascination with a world that escaped the worldview I once knew. I found, in fact, two interesting numbers. The first is a Google. It's not the search engine company, but that's where they got their name. A Google is simply 1 followed by 100 zeros. Now that doesn't sound like very much, but let me give you an analogy to understand a Google. Take the universe, all 13.77 billion light years in any direction, and now fill it with sand. And that's not a Google. To get a Google, you have to take every grain of sand and divide it into 10 billion pieces. That's just a Google. The second number is a Googleplex. A Googleplex is 1 with a Google zeros. It's an unimaginable sum, but I can help you understand it thusly. It takes about 21 seconds to write out a Google if you're quick with zeros. It takes about 57 seconds to write out one with 185 zeros, which is a number big enough to contain all the information contained in our universe. So how long does it take to write a Googleplex? We'll take our cosmos full of sand again, so much sand you could travel at thousands of miles per hour for trillions of years and never reach the end of the sand. And on every grain of sand, write 10 billion zeros. How long would that take? Well, if I started at age 5 and worked till age 85 for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, I could complete 1/2 of 1 grain of sand. Fortunately, there have been 107 billion people in human history, and so all working together, every human who ever lived for 80 years, 16 hours a day, could fill a cube 1.7 meters on a side. Now, our universe doesn't end at that veil, that space at the end of what we can see. Science tells us the universe is spatially infinite, and that tells us there are more than a Googleplex cubic meters in the cosmos. Now buckle your seatbelt, this gets weird. A Googleplex is a far higher quantity than the total number of quantum states possible in a human volume. And that means, based on math, somewhere in this universe, every possible arrangement of a person exists. Somewhere in a very distant Los Angeles, there is a room exactly like this one, only you are all half your size. Somewhere in the cosmos, there could be a room exactly like this one, where one of you is on stage and 500 of me are in the audience. That is strange. And then I imagine that this infinite cosmos is made of vibrating strings, that everything is a song, and that somehow in this infinite creativity I am here, that I can wonder why I'm here and who I am and what I'm going to do about it, that I can fly home in a few days and hug my daughters and kiss their cheeks, and that I can be in a room full of people who get it, that what is God is both a very weird and a very important question. And when I contemplate the fact that I did nothing to get here, but I get to enjoy this gift, when I contemplate that yes, we humans have a tremendous power to hurt one another, but we can also link arms and protect the downtrodden, that we can stand up not just for our rights, but for the rights of others, and that in every moment we face a choice. Do we be afraid or do we love? And when I find that love rising from the harmony of strings of the cosmos, extending across the surface of our planet and healing the things that are broken, wounded, and wrong, my friends, I can think of no better word for that magic than God.
When I was born, you were my bread. You were my skin against your breast. You were my food, you were my life. You were my morning and my night. It's always only ever been. It's always only ever been. And then I met you on the wall. You were 17 inches tall. A painted smile across your face. I pray for heaven, pray for grace. Yes. I gave my life when I was 10. I gave my life when I was 10. Prayed in tongues, was born again. Sorry now, Lord, I am. It's always ever been you. Just like a father, spirit, son. My heart is open once again. The distant love of a forlorn friend. Maybe it's always ever been you. If you are there as the world unfolds its harsh affair, as the spiral bears the seams, the holy haunts my dreams, I will stay right here with you. It's always only you. It's always only you.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for Science Mike again, everybody. This is John Joseph back here on the bass.
John Joseph. I like it. Get even hipster friendly.
Prejudice
just want to tell you guys a little bit about it. It's called Hurricane. For those who have heard it, you know the lyrics. Who have not, we were in London when the shooting in Paris happened, and it was the first time in my life that we were traveling, and I was just too scared to travel, and it really hit me that was some people's reality every day. A friend of ours was there. She was talking to me how she remembered being a little child and hovering in the middle of the street as this bomb went off. She could hear the ringing. She still knows what that's like, and now she talks her kids through what to do if that happens to them. And there's bombings all the time. There's car bombs, bus bombs in London, and where they're at, it's just part of their everyday life. And you know, I don't know what it's like to live in that kind of chaos and in that kind of world, and I was just kind of overcome by all of these evils that are happening, right? I mean, the world just feels kind of crazy right now, and you have racism and crazy people running for president, and I don't know actually what to say there, but it just feels, I mean, there's all this tension, right? And I just kind of went home after, went into the piano, and I just feeling so much anxiety and just hopelessness. And this is the song that kind of was born out of that. Because I sat down at the piano and I started looking at some friends of mine, their text, and they're like helping Syrian refugees come to LA and all over the world, and they're helping them reestablish their families. And I thought, you know, there is love, and we can do something about the chaos. So that's what this song is about.
Oh yeah.
I see your world breaking and falling apart, and I don't know what to do with it. What to do with it? Yeah, I see a haze building up all of the walls, turns family into enemy. What do we do with it?
Rising with the breeze. Well, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. We got one more for you. This last one is, it's really meaningful to me personally because I, like Mike, kind of went through a full deconstruction of my world and didn't know how I could believe anything anymore. And this was a song kind of coming back after a long journey to mystery with, you know, for a while, these words like God, this particular song, words like holy. For a while, I didn't know what to do with any of that kind of stuff. But then when you start asking questions and you start seeing things like we talked about tonight, where there's just this unfathomable infinity to everything. There was part of my existence that I didn't have words for, right? And coming back to that, and I don't know, maybe I'm just sentimental or whatever it is, but the words of my childhood suddenly, when I came with a little bit more open hands, not needing to control everything, not needing to know my clear positions on everything, single thing, but I could just kind of come back to the mystery of these open hands. All of a sudden, these words again started to become more meaningful again. And this song, it's that. It's open-handedness. It's coming to the mystery, what I would call God, coming to this infinite beauty, this infinite love, with open eyes, open heart, sort of like a kid again. Not so much where, you know, getting caught in my own brain, needing to figure everything out, parse everything out, and everything defined and clear and clean, but more just heart open, eyes open, hands open. And the response that comes out is holy. And to me, that's a very meaningful word, again. So if you've heard the song, go ahead and sing along with us. But I hope that tonight,